Shawnee, aka Total Makeup Junkie 101, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a video that has been requested by you guys a lot. This is on the new Makeup Geek Duochrome collection. You guys all know that I'm a big fan of the brand Makeup Geek, and recently Marlena and the whole Makeup Geek team has come out with a new duochrome collection consisting of 12 new eyeshadow pans, the pressed eyeshadows, as well as 8 new duochrome eyeshadow pigments. You can pick up all of these items on the Makeup Geek website, and I will be sure to put a link to that in the description box below for you. I just want to preface this video by letting you guys know that I picked up this entire collection with my own money, and I am not a Makeup Geek affiliate, so any of the links and anything that I put in the description is totally kosher. I'm not being paid. Now, as a little bit of an explanation for those of you guys who don't know what the term duochrome means when it comes to the beauty world, duochrome basically means it is a product that can look multiple colors in multiple different lights and at multiple angles. So you may look at the product in the pan and see green, but when you put it onto the skin, it may look green in some lights, it may look gold or orange or pink in other lights. So it's a really multifaceted item, and I myself am a huge fan of duochrome products. I think they can make a even simple eye look so complex because of the multiple different colors that one eyeshadow can give you. So we're gonna go ahead and start off this review by talking about the eyeshadow pans. Now, the top 12 pans you see here, the 6 in the 2 first rows, those are the new duochrome pans. All of the rest of these on the bottom are her foiled eyeshadows, which I already did a full in-depth review and swatch video on, so I will put that link to that video in the description box as well. Just taking a look at the range of colors you are getting in the duochrome collection, it's really nice. I really do think Makeup Geek did a good job with including a bunch of different colors. I mean, you get nice punches of color with some blues and greens and purples, but you also get a nice range of neutral colors. Now, you buy the shadows in the single pan version. These retail for $6 a piece, and these are the same size as a MAC eyeshadow. It's the same price as any of Makeup Geek's other eyeshadows, so they didn't increase the price for the duochromes. Now, moving right into swatches of all of the duochrome eyeshadow pans, the first shade we have is called Voltage, and this is described as a vanilla base with champagne yellow reflex. This color definitely has a strong golden punch on my skin tone. You can't really see the base all too much. The next shade we have is called Karma, which is described as a golden base with yellow-green reflex. Now, this shade on my skin tone surprisingly looks really similar to the first shade. This one does have kind of a golden base. The next shade we have is Ritzy, which is described as a warm red-brown base with green and gold reflex. Now, this shade swatched out definitely looks a lot more brown than you would expect it to be, just judging it from the pan. The next shade we have is Typhoon, which is described as a deep teal base with green and gold reflex. Now, this one was a real surprise when I swatched it out, because in the pan it looks like an olive green, but as you can see, swatched out, it is a really vibrant, punchy emerald color. The next shade we have is Havoc, which is described as a warm red-brown base with teal reflex. Now, while this one is really beautiful, I will say that it looks pretty similar to those typical duochromes we're really used to seeing, like MAC Club. The next shade we have is Secret Garden, which is described as a deep espresso base with bright teal reflex. This one, I will say, was a little bit drier in consistency than most of the other ones, but I have seen this color over a dark black base, and you can really get that green to pop so beautifully. Next up, we have Phantom, which is a white base base with violet purple reflex. And as you can see, this one is so punchy and it just makes such a statement on a tan skin tone. Next up, we have Rockstar, which is a medium silver base with purple pink reflex. Now this color was a part of the Makeup Geek line in the past, so this is not necessarily a new color. And I will say this definitely isn't one of my favorites. I don't feel like the duochrome really pops or punches through like it does on most of the other shades. Next up, we have Blacklight, which is described as an electric purple base with icy blue reflex. This color is stunning. I have used this color in multiple different looks and have gotten so many compliments on it. Next up, we have I'm Peachless, which is described as a buff base with peachy pink reflex. This one is another one which isn't necessarily my favorite, although you can definitely get this one to look really good if you top it over a darker base. But if you are interested in a nice peachy pink shift, I would go for this one. This is Mai Tai, which is described as an apricot base with orchid reflex. And this one, as you can see, is so much more punchy. It's almost like I'm Peachless, just amped up in the duochrome. And then the last shade we have in terms of pressed eyeshadows, this one is called Steampunk, which is described as a black base with rich copper reflex. Once again, I have used this color in many different eye looks, and I think this is a gorgeous neutral color. So those were all of the pressed eyeshadow pans. In terms of formula and texture on these, I think they're pretty consistent with the standard Makeup Geek eyeshadows. I will say that some of the shades are more creamy and more pigmented than others. Some of the lighter ones definitely need to be built up, but the way you're gonna get the best duochromeness out of these is to use them over a darker base. These definitely are not as creamy and metallic in finish as the foiled eyeshadows, not even by a long shot, but for $6, they are still amazing. And just in case I didn't mention this earlier, these are available only in the individual refill pans, so you will need to purchase some sort of magnetic palette, like a Z palette, to put them in. So now let's go ahead and start talking about my preferred version of these duochromes, which is the loose pigments. I feel like there is no better way to get a super strong duochrome look than to use a pigment. I feel like when you press these into little eyeshadow pans, they really lose a lot of their duochromeness for some reason. These pigments retail for $12 a piece, and they do come in these new jars. And I will say, I hate these new jars. The number one reason being they are really difficult to open and close once you get the sifter on. The sifter is supposed to allow only a little bit of pigment out at a time, so you're not having a mess every time you open and close these jars. But some of the pigment jars did not have the sifter on it when they sent it to me. They had just thrown the plastic sifters in the box, and I had to put them on myself. And because of that, I feel like the entire purpose of having the sifter was gone. You can see there was pigment that was collected up in the cap, and now it's all on the threadings, and now it makes a mess every time I open and close it because the sifter wasn't put on the jars during production. And I also know a lot of people who have had issues with these new jars in that they are cracking, and I agree, mine have significant cracks all around some of these jars. Like on this one, for example, you can see that crack right there. It's huge. And then there are little cracks all where the sifter was installed on the top. And this is on all of the jars. Not a single jar that I have actually came in perfect condition. Okay, let's walk away from being a complaining little Nancy and move right into these swatches, because I want you guys to see these because they're gorgeous. The first shade we have is called Sugar Rush, and this is described as a translucent base with icy blue and purple reflex. As you guys can see in the swatch, this is absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful inner corner highlight. Top it over a darker base. The next shade we have is Prism, which is described as a white base with peachy pink reflex. And this shade, once again, absolutely beautiful. I actually used this exact pigment in a Get Ready With Me video that went up on my channel last week. So I will go ahead and put a link to that video in the description box below for you. The next shade we have is Mood Ring, which is a pale gray base with purple pink reflex. It's kind of like what I wanted the Rockstar pressed eyeshadow to be, but this one is infinitely better. Next up we have Kaleidoscope, which is described as a slate blue base with pink, purple, and teal reflex. And Marlena describes this color as like a quadrochrome because it flashes so many different colors depending on the light it is in. Next up we have Hologram, which is described as an orangey pink base with green and gold reflex. This one was a little bit of a letdown because it's definitely a lot more green on the eyes than you see any peach. Next up is Wildfire, which is described as a red coral base with gold reflex. And this is pretty much your perfect peachy pink, rose golden type of pigment. Next up we have Chameleon, which is described as a deep teal base with gold reflex. I will say this is probably one of the least duochrome pigments that's in this entire collection. It does look like a really beautiful true green color. And the last pigment we have is called Insomnia, and this is described as a warm red-brown base with blue reflex. This particular pigment has actually been in the Makeup Geek line for quite a while now, and I don't believe any reformulation or anything has happened to it. So those were all of my swatches on the new Makeup Geek Duochrome products, the pressed eyeshadows, as well as these pigments. First thing I want to say is that my swatches do not depict the full duochromosity that these products have. I feel like it's very, very difficult to capture that duochromeness via film, pictures, the camera, the lighting. It's just all kind of washes everything out. So while the colors you were seeing were as true to color as I could possibly get, the flash and the reflect really doesn't translate as well. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that is something to keep in mind. I don't feel like any picture or video I have seen on these products really does them justice to when you see them in person. Another thing to keep in mind is that the color you see in the pigment pot or even in the eyeshadow pan more than likely is not going to be the color you're going to get on your face. So I would highly recommend you guys swatch these before you start planning out looks that you're going to do with them. In terms of quality, they are on par, exactly what you would expect from Makeup Geek. Also, Makeup Geek does offer slightly discounted sets. So if you decide to purchase all of the pigments together or all of the eyeshadow pans together, or decide to get the entire duochrome bundle, you can pick those up at a slightly discounted price. So my overall thoughts on these are no shock. I love Makeup Geek, I love Marlena, and I am very, very excited about these. So that is pretty much everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and the swatches were at least somewhat helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed getting to know what I think of these. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have checked out this duochrome collection or if you guys are planning on it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in my next video on Monday. I will see you then. Bye! I had much higher expectations for these, especially given that the retail price is $10. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts, my opinion, do my lip swatches, and do a mini review